The work we present here centers around the sharing economy. We understand the problems the so-called mainstream big and for-profit sharing economy has created, and in response we provide design implications for the development of sharing economy platforms of which design can support sharing as a community-building, community-based, solidarity and caring-based practice. So underneath the sharing economy umbrella, one may find projects like Airbnb, Uber, BlaBlaCar, AllotMe, which is like Airbnb but for gardeners, Olio and Carrot, which are food-related, couchsurfing, and there's a lot of social media groups either on Facebook or on Telegram or on other social media platforms. So what those projects have in common is that all use digital tools which act as the mediators. They mediate those sharing practices. And it goes without saying that different business models imply different sharing economy platforms in terms of design. Within our research aim to join those who suggest ways toward reclaiming the sharing economy, in this project we engaged with an interesting case study. So it's a ride-sharing project called Share the Ride, which runs on top of Facebook since 2009, and it's the most popular ride-sharing platform to this day in Greece. In Share the Ride, there are no managers, there are no CEOs, there are no employees, there's no infrastructure like offices. So it's an initiative which is run, managed and designed by its very own members, which are riders themselves. So for more details around Share the Ride, I would suggest you could read the paper. Methodology-wise, we did 10 interviews with members that have different roles in the group, and we analyzed them using thematic analysis. So from the analysis we ran, we created 3 themes. In our first theme, we looked into how members of Share the Ride negotiate ride shares, and we also explore how the design of the mediator, Facebook in this case, have supported those negotiations. It is important to mention at this point that from 2019 onwards, a system based upon the use of hashtags was invented by Share the Ride members to better organize the circulating information and make matchmaking a bit more convenient. In our paper, we explain in detail how the system was designed and how it works. So, due to the design of the system, some information connected with a ride are codified, however, some others not. So users have to announce via post if they're looking for or they're offering a ride. They have to announce the starting point and the final destination and the day the ride will take place. So this means that other things like the cost of a ride, the rules in a vehicle, the route to be followed, or what can be transported are not things that are predefined. What we've learned is that future sharers negotiate those while talking over either personal messages or phone calls. So we also learn that because of the system that allows for such negotiations, sometimes Share the Ride members offer rides for free or on a solidarity rate, or might exchange a service with other services. We also learn that occasionally such negotiations over a ride take place on a group level. So as we've been reported from some drivers, they might make a Facebook group where future riders meet each other before the ride online, and they discuss over the upcoming ride. They co-organize the logistics. In our second theme, we looked into how trusts are being built. So we learned that a reviewing system was suggested that also uses hashtags, which however was never adopted. What we found is that most people tend to scan a future rider's profile on Facebook. That's the first thing somebody would do. Then we also learned that sometimes there are those quote-unquote on-the-fly reviews, which are made underneath posts offering or looking for a ride, and they have the form of a comment. We also learned that having mutual friends can be very important. And we also learned that some people look into the past activity of a potential ride sharer on the group. Like they look what kind of posts they've made, what kind of comments they've written, or what's the discussion they've participated in. Finally, when we asked some of our participants about the more blurry profiles, so profiles that might have nicknames or they might not have photos or something, we learned that they tend to do interesting work around. So again, we found that having mutual friend can be really important because they can operate as a vouching mechanism. And we also learned that doing a video call can be a way. So finally, in our last theme, we looked into how Share the Right members have been appropriating Facebook and how those appropriations have supported Share the Right becoming a community-based project. So we learned that the admin team, of which members support the daily sustainment of the group, operates on a rotational basis, meaning that some people join, help for a while, and then leave while new ones join this team. Now, focusing on the hashtag system, we learned that the system was a design idea a member of the group had, a writer. And this design idea was later refined and became the system all members use today. It's important here to note that this novel system of organizing information did not ask for any coding or programming skills. What we also learned is that this system, on the one side, made searching available rides and matchmaking easier. So it did support organizing ride shares as a service among individuals or small groups, but on the same time, that system allowed for other posts to be made without them being quote-unquote noisy. And those other posts are an important part of Share the Right as a community-based project. So such posts can be posts where users discuss about the group's operation, future, etc., posts that can trigger socio-political debates, posts asking for information, or posts where other things and services except rights are shared. Such posts, which create a forum-like space, create the circumstances for shaping a more collective vision and action. Finally, we learned that Share the Right has been an inspiring project as other ride-sharing groups, more closed and guild-like, have been created, which have copied the hashtag system and also Share the Couch group. Departing from our findings, which we analyze within the Solidarity HCI wave, in our discussion section, we suggest the design of malleable and general-purpose sharing economy platforms. In the very beginning of our discussion section, we also comment on why we need other infrastructures outside social media like Facebook. So we picture the platforms we describe as bedrock infrastructures. By bedrock, we imply that they are designed in a way that they can host various sharing economy schemes and groups on the same time, be them ride-sharing groups, tool-sharing groups, or food-sharing groups, etc. And by malleable, we suggest that they are designed in such a way that appropriations and adaptations can be easily done by end users in order to support different contexts of sharing. We also suggest that such platforms should avoid hard coding everything, and instead that they should create the space for negotiations to take place. So we suggest that, as we argue that negotiations can be the means of getting to know each other and understanding each other's needs. We believe that those negotiations can lead to more meaningful relations and interactions, which in turn potentially can support mutual understanding and then solidarity and a more caring-based form of sharing. In addition, we suggest that the different sharing economy schemes that occupy such platforms are self-organized in terms of the socio-technical designs they develop, but do have permeable barriers. So those permeable barriers imply that users can simultaneously participate in various sharing economy groups and create new ones. In that, we see the potential that members practice group hopping and slowly create potentially enduring relationships among each others while participating into different sharing activities. For example, we picture that users start with ride sharing and then progressively participate in other more communal sharing practices accordingly. For example, they organize a group where they organize a community project they will run like an urban garden. We also suggest the employment of internal vouching mechanisms. An example of such approach would be that, for example, somebody can join, let's say, a tool sharing group only if they're vouched for by some existing members of the group. Finally, As we put community building in the epicenter and building meaningful relations, we suggest that those platforms, in tandem with the internal vouching mechanism we just mentioned, that this should allow users self-identification and self-determination. So we know that in this work we only touched upon malleable sharing economy platforms on their very embryonic state. So there's a lot more work to be done, and future work might include exploring who designs and manages such platforms. Would it be institutions, states, or cooperative, or how a more collaborative tailoring can be supported by a system, how different sharing economy groups on such platforms can be governed, what kind of different governance models can be developed, or how users' data are treated, etc. So thank you for watching our presentation.